Hello, my name is Disha Aluwalia and welcome to The Print. With the Harappan civilization trending on social media all throughout the last week of May, a familiar set of arguments resurfaced. What began as a conversation about a seal excavated at Mohenjo-daro soon developed into a wider debate about who gets to define India's archaeological past and what constitutes legitimate archaeological interpretation. The argument ranged from iconography to nomenclature. However, when the discussion turned to the spatial distribution of Harappan site, it often stopped at the size of the settlement. The debate quickly became an Indus versus Saraswati contest, with one side arguing that the major urban centers are located along the Indus, the other pointing to sites like Rakhigari as a counter argument. Yet, these debates missed a more fundamental archaeological question. What makes a settlement a city, and how do cities evolve with time? The significance of Harappan urbanization cannot be reduced to identify the largest sites or claiming the earliest settlement. Archaeological evidence points to a complex network of settlements. Some were big, while majority of them were smaller rural settlements that developed over centuries. These settlements were linked through trade, resources, tradition, and shared inheritance. However, the overall evolution of the Harappan traditions, as reflected in the urban centers such as Rakhigari, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, or Dholavira, was often presented through oversimplification, a result of selective reading of archaeological data. It is not easy to interpret archaeological data, especially when the context is missing or misunderstood. But the interpretation is neither black or white, but exists in shades of gray, constantly refined through new discoveries and fresh analysis. The challenge, therefore, is not to decide whether Indus or Saraswati hosted the larger city, but is to understand the process that gave rise to one of the largest civilizations. Before we debate in which river valley the largest cities were located, it is necessary to ask what archaeologists mean by the city in the first place. It is equally important to ask whether modern locations of these cities matter, as political boundaries that divided the Harappan landscape are fairly recent. According to Walter Fairservice, a city is a result of centralization of variety of independent activities under an effective administration. The nature of administration may vary, but certain commonalities prevail within the larger space. For instance, the seals that we start to see during the mature Harappan or urban phase, or we start seeing a lot of human figurines or bull figurines. We start seeing geometric patterns, floral patterns on the pottery. All of this are part of commonalities that prevail over a larger period. Apart from this, the standardization of brick size, weights and measure are just few parameters that speak of the commonalities in Harappan cities. Such centers do not emerge in isolation. Urban cities do not emerge in isolation. They develop from the existing economic and social structures and in turn influence the surrounding landscape. The definition is particularly useful when examining Harappan civilization, as we all, as archaeologists, agree that Harappan civilization was a result of its surrounding, the world around the Harappan system. If you look at the map of Harappan civilization, they are surrounded by contemporary cultures, and all of that really helped in the rise of urbanism. These features, which I've spoken earlier, such as the brick sites, the architectural revolution, the drainage system, everything was actually a culmination of centuries of cultural development. Archaeologist Jonathan McConnor also argues that the Harappan urbanism grew out of the early indigenous traditions while simultaneously interacting with its neighboring cultures. Indus the Harappan region was surrounded by diverse communities, be it the Chalcolithic communities in India, the Neolithic communities in northern India, and also in Iran and Central Asia. The in the vast region, the Harappan landscape that you see micro variations due to that very influence because they're spread in a much larger area, which is dictated by various cultures that were pre-existing there. The rise of cities along the Indus or the Saraswati river system was not a product of single river, really. It was not a product of single region or a group of people. It was a product of broader social, economic, cultural processes operating across an interconnected landscape. Accordingly, where the early food producing settlements had regional traits, certain common features started to make way about 3,300 BCE. The brick sites that we all talked during the mature Harappan or urban phase of the Harappan civilization, there was a different ratio which existed during early Harappan. The pottery motifs were also very distinct, but they again slowly and steadily they did start to spread. They didn't had the seals with animal motif or Harappan script, but their seals were largely constituting geometric patterns. Around 2800 to 2600 BCE, common features became more prominent and they were spread on a wider area. According to Fair Service, universally found bull figurines, human figurines, seals, everything which was found during from early Harappan period became more prominent during mature Harappan period. Burial practices also became hallmark of Harappan traditions. While the settlement pattern, the way the cities were laid out, were largely regional. They were in tune with the ecology, but the brick size was standardized. So what we really refer to as the Harappan culture or the civilization is really the urban phase, which most of people on social media talk about. It's largely 800 years of urbanism, but that have a history before and it had a future as well. So there was a prelude and also a succeeding phase, which is very, very important. And many, when they talk about it, they miss out to understand that. Now, if you look at the city of Delhi or any other city, I will take an example of Delhi here. Delhi is a city of many cities, from fortified walls to gated cities in the past. India's capital has expanded in last 8 decades. Following independence, lakhs migrated during partition. The city's limits were forced to expand to observe, which observed older settlements and villages. Economic growth, industrialization, rise of service sector, everything led to expansion of the city into the neighboring regions of Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, giving the rise to the National Capital Region or the NCR. During this transformation, places such as Gurugram, Noida, Greater Noida evolved from largely agrarian settlements into major urban centers. If you have, if you're familiar with these regions a few decades ago, you would see that there were large open fields around. But today, what you see is mostly concrete jungle. And that is what urbanism is all about. That is how cities expand over the period of time. The demand and the supply really plays an important role there. People flock to the cities in large number for opportunities to earn money and to find a base, which villages may not be able to give. But this doesn't mean that we don't appreciate the importance of agrarian economy. Our villages are our industrial centers, which are really, really important. Without that ecosystem, without that, it will be very difficult for cities to really sustain. Ancient cities similarly evolved in the same way. About 5,000 years ago, settlements such as Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Rakhigadi, Dholavira, Ganveriwala, all were smaller settlements. They were largely agrarian settlements, which became cities. They did not emerge, and they did not emerge in isolation. They developed with wider networks of villages, small towns, trade routes, natural resources. Thousands of people perhaps must have flocked to the cities like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Rakhigari, which really would have led to all the development that are defined as urbanization or which comes under the ambit of a city. The society also became much more hierarchical, as we see in the division in the architectural style also, because there were a lot of people flocking to the city, there was also a need to store more food produced, such as grains. So the granaries came into existence because the trade was an important part of Harappan civilization. Ports, the need to establish big ports led to the rise of cities, towns like Lothal, and also at one point Dholavira. However, not every settlement became a city, and the reason to that is largely geography. If you see the map of Harappa, and if you point out the five major sites, Rakhigarhi, Dholavira, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Ganveriwala, I'm omitting Lakhancho-daro here. But if you see these sites and you dot them, you see that they are marking different corners of the Harappan civilization. Harappa is right in north in Punjab, which perhaps likely acted as an important juncture which connected the north to the southern part, and also as must have been played an important role when transporting the raw material from north to other Harappan centers. Mohenjo-daro, which is in Sindh, is closer to the Indus, also closer to Rohri, an important resource mine. Must is connecting the southwestern juncture, which is closer to Persia, which is closer to the neighboring settlements. And also, then it's not that very far away from Dholavira, which is in Kutch. And that would have, Dholavira would have connected the Gujarat region and also the Kutch region, the Western India to Mohenjo-daro, Sindh region, and then opening a new dynamics altogether for Harappan trade. When Archaeological Survey of India was excavating Rakhigarhi from 2021 to 2024, the team, which was headed by Sanjay Manjul, Archaeological Survey of India, and I was also part of this team, we did probe the reason behind the settlement's evolution and how it became an important urban center in the eastern zone of the civilization. Why Rakhigarhi became a big city was a very, very important question, and we often have discussions over it. Looking at the site and its location, it is very clear that during the pre-urban phase, Rakhigarhi would have been a much larger settlement, perhaps one of the largest early Harappan sites. If you see the expanse and the excavations that were conducted, evidence of early Harappan phase is much more wider. During the urban phase, the city landscape changed, the layout changed, became more concentrated, more structured, and it yielded much more evidence of how it became more in tune with the commonalities that we were talking about earlier. While the excavations are still going on, each year new facet of the city is coming to the light. But what is important here to understand why Rakhigarhi is located in that area? Perhaps it was connecting the eastern domain, it was connecting area beyond the Harappan realm, Yamuna, Ganga region, to the Harappan region. It perhaps played an important role. If you see Delhi as a city today, it played an important role not just today, but it played an important role way back in antiquity as well. Delhi was always in the trade route, which is why it was used as a capital by many dynasties in the past. It was an important political center. Be it the Mughals or even before that, Delhi played an important role. Similarly, Rakhigarhi, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Dholavira, they were important cities which marked these geographies and tied the civilization together during the urban phase. According to Professor Vasant Shinde, the estimated size of the site of Rakhigarhi is over 500 hectares. He's mentioned that in the recent publication on Rakhigarhi's bioanthropological analysis, the analysis conducted at the burial site. Although we are still waiting for more data, but it really doesn't matter about if Mohenjo-daro is bigger than Rakhigarhi at this point. What matters is that in archaeology, these boundaries are largely fluid. As you see that today, when Mohenjo-daro has been excavated, we are finding an earlier evidence in early pre-urban level, which was not known earlier. It is a possibility that tomorrow we may find another bigger or earlier city in any other part of the entire Harappan realm. What is important for us to really understand is that the city really does not solely define by size. It is also important to understand its role, the administrative function, the craft production, planning, and the relationship with the surrounding settlements in order to understand urbanism. It is absolutely pointless to keep arguing on the size because because the moment we start defining settlement by size, which is just one parameter, and then we start taking sides and dividing the history which border could not. Ancient civilization really cannot be claimed by modern nationalities or state boundaries. What is important is to take ownership. If you argue the importance of Rakhi, people must come together to help archaeologists and authorities to protect the site. And many sites like Rakhi, which are being disturbed as we speak, many who really take Rakhi as a topic, they take it as their pride and they boast about it, should talk about how Rakhi, a major part of Rakhi as a settlement has been destroyed. For instance, the RGR 6 is completely been leveled, which was an early Harappan mound. Every day, a site has been leveled, perhaps around you, and we are not taking any action to really protect those sites. Sooner there'll be no trace of the past, and we'll be keep arguing this only on the basis of numbers, which in archaeology are rather pointless. On the other hand, those who argue that the larger cities are on the Indus and that it's only on the Indus should really be ignored at this point. Thank you so much for listening to me. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. You can read my column for more details. The link will be on the description box below. And if you like more such videos on archaeology and on ancient Indian history, please do follow Print on various social media platforms and watch out for this space for another video on archaeology. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.